screening of The Dancer Upstairs. We have with us two of the actors from Dancer Upstairs, Luis Miguel Sintra and Alessandra Lancastra. And we thank you all for coming. This is a film we made in 2000? 2000, I think, which shot in Spain and Portugal and South America. It's about the policeman who captured Abimael Guzman, who was the leader of Sendero Luminoso, and Alessandra plays Javier Bardem's wife, who plays the policeman, and Luis Miguel plays the man who kind of runs the government behind the government. It's film from an English novelist called Nicholas Shakespeare, oddly enough, and called, with the same title, Dancer Upstairs, which the title was provided by John le Carré, actually. And that's it, that's the film. The score, which I think is quite lovely, is by the Spanish composer Alberto Iglesias. And I hope you enjoy it, and I think we have maybe a brief conversation afterwards. Anything to say for you?
Well, thank you for coming, and I'm very proud to be here, and I'm being honest. And I brought the two first scripts I received from John, and I love paper, and this is really important to me because it was almost unbelievable. I hope you like it. It was a wonderful experience, and we are still friends, I think. Now you.
Quando o Manuel de Oliveira resolveu convidar o John Malkovich e a Catherine Deneuve para fazer o Convento, connosco, comigo e com a Leonor, foi uma surpresa muito grande e uma honra muito grande nossa de irmos contracenar com eles. Quando, depois de termos feito o filme com eles, o John decidiu convidar-me para entrar no filme dele, a surpresa ainda foi maior. E ainda foi maior porque associamos o cinema americano normalmente, os atores americanos, ao cinema americano. E eram regras, logo na escolha dos atores, que não eram exatamente as do cinema americano. Para já fazer um filme que era feito com os atores amigos, ou aqueles com quem ele se tinha cruzado e de quem gostava, era uma coisa fora do normal. Acho engraçado tudo isto porque foge às regras. Há caminhos que se passam entre aquilo que está previsto aquilo que está previsto pelo dinheiro e que o ultrapassam. Creio que a pessoa que nos une aqui hoje acaba por ser, em última análise, o Manuel de Oliveira, porque o Manuel de Oliveira, através do Manuel de Oliveira, conheci o Paulo Branco que fez os filmes com o Manuel de Oliveira, através dos filmes com o Manuel de Oliveira conheci o John. Através do filme do John, contracenei com a Alexandra, contracenei, quer dizer, cruzei-me com a Alexandra, porque não temos nenhuma cena em conjunto no mesmo filme. São uma quantidade de mundos que se cruzam todos a partir de uma pessoa que justamente não tinha regras. Isto para mim, não tinha e não tem, continua a não ter. Isto para mim é uma coisa muito importante, como afirmação de liberdade.
Thank you. The Dancer Upstairs. Hello. Maybe we'll start. Paolo just ran out for a second, so I don't know. He'll probably have his own questions to ask. But if anybody has any questions or comments or anything, we'd be very happy to hear them. So shoot away.
Can I ask you, this is your first movie as a director. Can you tell us how the experience was?
Well, it's kind of my first movie, but only officially. I've written or directed a lot of other movies, but not officially. And my experience was actually doing the movie was great, and everything before and after was terrible. You know, doing the movie, I had a spectacular cast, two of whom are up here. But really, it took 8 years to make this film. The main reason being no one wanted to fund a film, and everybody kept saying, why would I do a film with, what's this guy's name? Javier Bardem? Why would I do that? So that was my experience, really.
And I think to go through an experience like that, to take 8 years to make a film, keeping the film in your mind all the time, and all this, when you made it, it was like a liberation or something like that, and in a way, I'd like to know if during these 8 years the film changed a lot, or it was exactly from the start the same that you want to do it?
I don't know that it changed that much, Paolo. I just kept working on it because I think the three of us, to a certain extent, come from the theater, actually. So that's a very different background to film. That's like a painter's background, where films are line drawings, really. Yes, you may contemplate them a long time, but the amount you get to do them is incredibly brief, actually. And now, as we all know, as you know very well, now even briefer. So that it's the tiniest amount of time you can spend. And you can plan and plan and plan everything before, but still, you have to have some time to look at what you're doing and respond to it. So, yeah, it changed. Javier became to be within kind of 15 years of the real age of the character, although Javier was just a baby when we did this film. Everybody else became the right age, more or less, because before maybe almost everyone was too young, but it didn't really change from what I initially saw in Nicholas Shakespeare's novel. Not much. Pedro Aires Melgalench, he didn't compose it, but Alberto Iglesias did. Is that a big change? I don't know. Maybe not so much. We had various locations. It was always either going to be Lisbon or Porto, and Madrid and Rascafria outside in the mountains outside of Madrid where Buñuel shot, Quito in Ecuador, although we also talked about Peru, but it didn't really change much, I would say.
When the script was written, was much more close to the time where we tried to portray it, and when we have done it. And what is incredible about the script, that is how accurate in a way is portraying this kind of violence from both sides, and how you keep in a kind of a distance between, and
I think it's both a very prescient film and a very detached film. Very cool. Terrorism in general was a subject I had watched for many, many years. And nothing that's happened in the last 20 years is of the slightest surprise to me. Not 1 second of it. And I think this film treats it very accurately. There are injustices. People become so alienated and disenfranchised from injustices, both perceived and real, that they start to kill. I remember when I was in mix for this, because the producer wouldn't let me mix the film because he said it could never be released. And he asked me to replace all the actors' voices with English actors using a Mexican accent, and to replace the score of Alberto Iglesias. And I said, yes, Andres, I don't think I'm gonna do that, so I'll see you later, take care, good luck, adios, hasta luego, bye-bye. The day Javier Bardem, who only did Julian Schnabel's film to learn English for this film, was nominated for an Oscar, the producer's office called me and said, what's going on? Aren't you gonna mix your film? And I said, yeah, sure. When would you like to mix it? I'd be very happy to do so. So that's how that happened. But I think this film, from the very beginning, it was shot in 2000, meant to be released at the beginning of September, in the middle of September 2001, and then September 11th happened. And then they delayed it for a year, the release, because in screenings it upset people too much. And I kind of said, I wouldn't do that if I were you, really. I mean, I think the point of film is to upset people, but it's okay, it's all right. And then when it came out already in 2002, it was kind of too late. Although I think it's the kind of film that will last. I don't find it, I haven't seen it in 12 years, I don't find it at all dated or strained or stressed or most of my friends in America thought it cost $40 million. It cost $4 million. It was in 3 countries, 2 continents, with some of the actors I'm most fond of in all of Europe. And I think that adds to the film. If you went to try to find someone who speaks English like Luis Miguel, good luck. It's not gonna happen. It won't have the grace, it won't have the colors, it won't have the class, it won't have the tone. Yeah, they could do an accent, but that's not really an accent. It's a kind of way of life. Alexandra is someone exceptionally talented who I've known a long, long time. I didn't think of really anyone else for the role she played. Laura Marante, I think she's spectacular. Javier, Juan Diego Bato, Elvira Minguez, this entire cast, I think, are just fantastic. Yes, sometimes, okay, not these two, but sometimes their English may be a little hard to understand. Javier, Laura, a tiny bit. Laura learned English for this. It's her 5th language. But in general, as a native English speaker, I don't have any problem understanding them, ever. So.
Yes, please. I felt very much that during the shooting that you were a director who felt himself an actor. And your first concern was with what we would do with the script. And of course it's a type of film that I had never done before. And the way the shooting was taking place, I had never done that. And it's the only time I played in English. And what gave me a stronger impression was how careful you were with what you were saying to the actors, the least possible. And that, I think, for an actor, we know what that means. It's because you had I had the feeling that you were afraid of spoiling something. That means that you liked the people you have chosen, and that means that you needed to feel how they feel, and that's what a director must do. I remember very well the first day of shooting. We were doing that scene in the office where I am sitting behind the desk, and I was very nervous, of course. We took a lot of time with things like where to place the desk. You found some pretext for not doing it immediately. Things that the producers can understand with difficulty. But that was very comfortable for me. And Javier was that had that problem of speaking English, because all the Spanish people are very difficult speakers of other languages. Yeah, and for them, because all these Spanish is a very easy language. It's everything is clear. The vowels are open, and so on.
Everything is pronounced.
But you didn't make him feel at any moment that he was difficult to understand and so on. So it was that was very interesting, and for me it was the opposite of what I had all the time, because for you the script, the story we were telling, and so on, that was decided already. And so it was only the focus was on how would we do it, and with the directors I had worked and go on working, it's as if we were trying to think how the film must be done in the moment of the shooting. And I remember, Catherine in the shooting of the convent, that she was very puzzled with this way of shooting, where the actor is not exactly, the director is not exactly expecting the actor to have an idea, because Manuel thinks he has the duty to have all the ideas, and that makes it very different.
And that's great, I think. But for me, when I cast an actor, that is my trust to the actor. And I want the actor to have exactly the story, exactly the lines, exactly what's going to happen, so that they're utterly comfortable. Then, if it changes, okay.
But I remember that that moment where you made the surprise of biting the book in the convent. And Manuel, who was a bit lost, without not understanding what was your behavior, yours and Catherine's, if you liked or didn't like what we were doing, he said he was marvelous. And then I'm sure it's because of that initiative you had that he did with you that absolutely marvelous shot in the sequence in Vou para casa. And there it's very interesting because you are acting the director in Vou para casa, and what you do in that shot is absolutely, from my point of view, absolutely genius, because you are also telling what you think about the directors. Yeah. It's very funny.
Suddenly, I think that I don't need to say anything, but if you are here, it's because you feel something. You want to feel something, even if it's not agreeable, if it's like a nightmare. For me, this is something between a dream and a nightmare. I was so much afraid of everything, of traveling without my family. So I went to Madrid with my family, with my ex-husband, my 2 girls. And I thought, why do I do this? Why do I have to suffer so much? Because it's John Malkovich, because Luis Miguel is going to be there. And Javier Bardem, I've heard about him, and he was like, boing, when I met him, I thought, well, he's like a gun, his eyes. And then
the camera likes him.
We all like him, and the camera as well. And then I thought, well, I have to take this opportunity. And my ex-husband was, I think it was the last time, he was really nice to me, so he supported me. And when I started to shoot in Madrid as well, I had exactly the same feeling of Luis Miguel. That there was an actor there trying to direct a movie because it was so important for him to do this thing about these issues with these people. But then I never felt stressed during shooting, you know, like oh, we have to hurry, oh, and it is not fine. No, it was like, it was very smooth way. It was smoothly, and it was refined. And it was not that he was not demanding. He was demanding, but he gave us time to think about it and to be responsible and to be organic with the set and so on. And I remember to see Javier a little bit nervous about his English, but he was so funny and he's so intense and such a good actor that everybody understood him. Why? Because he has feelings. And I think that you are here and you just saw this film. You felt something about it. I didn't remember that voice off about time and everything about time. And it's so true and it's so painful. And it's, and for how long are we here? What do you want to know? You know, this is what we can do. What we have inside, and we actors try to transmit something, but directors and producers give those things to you. Thank you.
Any question? Please.
Partner. He had this attitude, which was the basic attitude for acting well, that he was very humble, and he really thought that he didn't know if he was doing well. But then he said, Well, if people like me, it must be for some reason, because I don't act very well. And that makes him a good actor. And it was, I remember also a moment in the first scene when the other actor, I can't remember what his name, the chief of the police.
Oliver Cotton, he's the only native English speaker
Yes.
in the entire movie.
And he turned to me and said, "But you speak in English, no Englishman speaks. The best English here is spoken by you, but the only problem is that nobody speaks in English like that."
Yes.
And the atmosphere was like that, very relaxed. And less relaxed with the people who were having the first opportunity or something like that. But that always happens now with the Spanish people, some of the Spanish people with small role parts or something like that. But now, you know, for us Portuguese, it's very strange to see Porto. Because,
Of course.
but I realize that when I see other films, maybe it happens the same thing with the place where they have been shot for
Of course, like you never really see New York in a film, it's only really Toronto or sometimes Montreal. But the reason I chose Porto was because Porto to me looked like I wanted South America to look, but it didn't look like that. South America looked like Los Angeles. So I just thought, but I mean, no offense to Lima, but Lima is incredibly ugly, and I wouldn't know where to point the camera. It doesn't have any, it's kind of soulless. And in Porto, you would never have to worry about where to point the camera. And when we went there and we had to, for instance, black out the city, I met with the people from the city of Porto and said, so, you know, we have to just, you know, do the scene at night where we just black out the city completely. And they were like, yeah, okay. And I was like, no, but I mean, you have to, we can't have any lights of any kind. Uh-huh. Yeah, fine. You know, which
it has this charm.
So
and
Yeah,
in
so
that sense, the film. I think that now that I see again the film, I think that there is some sort of mythical construction with everything that has to do with the illegal part and the native part of the story. They are something that is mysterious, and that is done also by the landscape, by the houses, by something that is very different. That's I didn't notice the first time.
and the architecture, because Porto is just Porto has soul, and you can't. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just what it is. And some places you go, even though the country may be great and the city may have great things, and which Lima, which I know well, certainly does. It just doesn't have soul, and that's you can't get around that, and that's why we used Porto and Quito also. Some scenes actually take place they start in Madrid, the middle part of the scene is in Porto, the third part of the scene is in Quito. So 3 different cities, 3 different countries, 2 different continents. But I think you don't even, of course the Portuguese notice because they know Porto well, but most people would never even think about it. You know, all of the scenes of the ballet studio are Espinho, you know. Yeah. And nobody anywhere else would ever dream, you know, they're in Espinho, or the scene on the rocks is right across from Foch. Most people, I think, wouldn't have the slightest idea where they were.
Duas questões relativas às línguas. Uma é, quando os atores falam em certas cenas aquela língua indígena, também aprenderam para o filme? Ou os atores que a falaram? Sim. Aprenderam para o filme? E a segunda... Mas é que eu sei. E a segunda pergunta é... em vários filmes, por exemplo, filmes que se passam na China, os atores falam inglês, ou filmes que se passam na América Latina, os atores falam inglês, e neste caso até disseram que atores aprenderam inglês para este filme. E eu sei, nunca pensaram em, talvez, se passasse na América Latina, e não é uma crítica, é só uma pergunta, aprenderem então o espanhol e falarem em espanhol, porque como disseram que a língua dá tanto aquele... Também tem um papel no filme, não sei.
Yeah. Yeah, good question, really. I have really mixed feelings about that over the years, because I've worked in other languages, done many films or plays in French, but also things in Arabic or German or Spanish or whatever. If I had it to do over again, maybe I would have done it in Spanish, but I try to explain it like this. It's in fact not unlike the history of Porto. There are certain people, when they speak English with an accent, that gives it an incredible historical life, which, if you just speak English like me, it doesn't have a historical life. It's just English. In the same way that Porto is in South America, but in my mind, that's what South America should look like. It's an act of imagination, really. Granted, if I had it to do over again, would I do it in Spanish? I mean, I've acted in Spanish and directed plays in Spanish and produced movies in Spanish, and you know, it's fine. And maybe I would, but I have always liked the sound of an accent. If it's clear, if it adds character. Like I said, both Alexandra and Luis Miguel, they have a kind of English that doesn't really exist in English. When I went to, what's the guy called? Ponte de Lima, he's like a prince or a count. It starts with a C, and he's big in the European kind of commission. You know, it's like Caraval or a thing like that. You know, his English is so much prettier than any English I've ever heard. he's just a guy. I mean, he's an aristo, but he's just a guy. And to me, that always created a kind of something romantic, not something strange or foreign or unpleasant, but the opposite, something deeper and kind of prettier. Because you see, you have to understand, if American watches Amadeus, it sounds like people who grew up in the San Fernando Valley. How could they be from Austria? So this is, in a way, the kind of opposite of that. And of course, it could have been in Spanish, sure. And as I say, if I looked at it again now, if I had it to do it all over again, would I do it in Spanish? Maybe, I don't know.
But there's something that the fact that we speak English helps to establish differences between the characters as well. I always thought that Calderon would, if he spoke English, he would speak English nearer to mine, because he would have classes like I had as a foreigner. But another Javier would have learned, because everybody knows a little bit in classes in school, so his English would not be so perfect. So if we all spoke Spanish, let's say, then we wouldn't be able to play with the accents, or you wouldn't be able to play as if you were, we were. It's part of the casting.
It's a little bit like in the theater when we choose, and you two as directors, you have to choose sometimes to adapt the names. For instance, in Portugal we say Samuel or Samuel. We call him Daisy or Margarida. And it's, it's your choice. And sometimes it's much more effective to have the real names in the plays, isn't it? I don't know, but it depends. And I would like to add something. I think for people that are here watching this film, like John Malkovich, and of course, like, you have to love Luis Miguel and love the work of Paulo Branco, of course, and they admire them. And everything, from my experience, everything that I see from John Malkovich has very much of John Malkovich in it. Like the last film, Casanova Variation, it has a lot. It's not, he's not a director, but he's also the director, and meaning that everything that he would ask me to do, I would. And I'm here because something entered in my blood from that moment on and will die with me. And I'm very happy. Like, I'm happy to be invited for this kind of things. Because Paulo is a difficult man and is very talented, and he recognizes talent. And he supports talent, and we should applaud this, and you should tell this to your friends.
I just wanted to say that there is a more complicated and general problem about the languages in things that have to do with acting. In the theater, I think it's a real problem to have the same thing as we have in other fields, to have unity of Europe. And so, because when I want to, some of the plays I've done, and that were the best, some of my best shows were foreign plays translated into Portuguese. nobody is going to invite me to do in France an Ibsen play, for instance, because then they have done themselves, and they have people from Denmark or something. So there are front borders, or how do you say, separations, because the way we speak and the relation an actor has with the word is something so intimate that it's the language is a real problem, and the reception from the public as well. I did a show in Spanish with a Spanish company, Spanish and Portuguese, because it was a Portuguese author who was bilingual, Gil Vicente. When we acted in Spain, the Spanish people said, "Somos españoles, tenemos el derecho de oír nuestra lengua. ¿Por qué no ponen subtítulos?" Pero aquí nadie pone el problema de oír el castellano, porque la naturaleza de los pueblos es distinta y porque oímos mucho mejor las vocales abiertas del español. Entonces es muy complicado todo eso. Pero yo he actuado, yo me gusta contarlo porque es mi vanidad. Yo he actuado una película en japonés, hablaba con los japoneses en japonés, y claro que no entendía nada de lo que ellos decían, pero...
I find it. Okay, thank you very much. I think.
I have a French film, which I'm allegedly supposed to do, which I think is very funny, etc. But I have to say some. I saw today a play I directed in 1985 was Steppenwolf Theater. You'll see very few films that good. It's a shit video. It has shit sound. People were howling like wild animals. And you can barely understand it. Now, why do I say that? To be arrogant? No. I say that because film people are often so arrogant. And they think that the only thing that ever happened in the history of mankind is a film. By and large, Steppenwolf Theater did better plays than the films that were released that year. Just because they were just in the theater doesn't mean, and I'm sure you understand this, doesn't mean that it didn't happen. So, if I want to direct in the theater, I call a person, that person reads the script I've sent them, and I have a response within 24 hours. And that response is normally yes. And if the response is yes, then I say, I come April 11th for casting. We do that April 11th, 12th, and 13th. I leave the 14th. We start rehearsing October 1st, and that's that. My French film, will it ever get financed? No, I don't know. Will an actor ever agree to do it? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So, will I ever direct another film? If I don't, it won't be because I don't like directing movies or don't respect the art. It'll be because it's too much bullshit for me. You know, when I was 30 and was offered film, I just thought, ooh, boy, that takes a lot of time. You know, we don't live forever. Let's go. Film director, it might be 2 years. I don't know. I do it in 5 weeks. But, so, what's the impetus, really? Okay, you have something that lasts, but you have something that lasts, but so what? Not all art lasts. Some art is really ephemeral. And I don't need a record of it. My record of it is right here, or here, or here. So maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know.
Well, let's hope so.
Hey, yeah, I'd love to,
Yeah.
but you know, you hear, you know, you kind of start the Javier Bardem story over, you know, it's like, oh, so-and-so wants to do it. He made a film 3 years ago, which was the most successful film in the history of French cinema, but the last film didn't make a lot of money. So now you don't want it. You know, I just go, come on.
Come on, industry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't look at my comrades that way. I see them very different to me, and it's offensive to me. And it's hard, actually, not to be offended on behalf of them, or even on behalf of myself. Because, you know, I go, I don't know, I only directed 60 plays, and 59 of them made money. So now you're talking to me about money. Uh-huh. Have you ever made money? Do you, you know, you run a theater. You know, and after a while, you know what I mean. You get, hey, wait, who's arrogant? Really? So, long answer.
Okay. Thank you.